So Zohran Mamdani just became the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And 50 Cent, who is a New York native, is not too happy about that. In fact, he just posted this on his Instagram, saying, "Rest in peace to New York City."
And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many men.
And Republicans actively protect pedophiles.
DL Hughley just called out 50 Cent. And to be fair, he made some valid points. DL expressed frustration with wealthy celebrities who claim to support the people, but panic the moment a policy arises that could actually benefit everyday citizens. As most of you already know, Zohran Mamdani has just been elected as the new mayor of New York City. However, before he's even had the chance to settle into City Hall, 50 Cent has been acting like the city's downfall has already begun. Now, DL is publicly criticizing 50, accusing him of hypocrisy, and warning him about projecting a false image. So, let's break down exactly what happened, what 50 said that stirred up this backlash, and why even Mamdani himself had to step in and respond.
The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
It all began after Zohran Mamdani made history as New York City's first Muslim mayor and one of the most progressive leaders the city has ever elected. His campaign focused on rent freezes, affordable housing, and free public transit, all aimed at improving life for working-class residents rather than favoring the wealthy. But that last part seems to be what set 50 Cent off. Following Mamdani's victory, 50 took to social media claiming that New Yorkers were finished, sparking controversy over his reaction, and shared an image of a tombstone that read, "Rest in peace, New York City, with the city's year of death as 2025. After that, I shared a photo of him having dinner with his homies and captioned it, "Escape from New York, hit the road. All roads lead to Shreveport." For context, Shreveport, a city in northwestern Louisiana, is where 50 Cent is currently building his massive entertainment and film production hub under G-Unit Film and Television. He leased studio space, announced a $50 million entertainment district, and is promoting Shreveport as the new headquarters of his growing business empire. In short, he's telling everyone that if they want to collaborate with him, Shreveport is now the place to be. So why the outrage over Mayor Mamdani's win? Well, Mamdani's plan includes raising income taxes by about 2% for individuals earning over $1 million annually, increasing the corporate tax rate to around 11.5%, and reforming a broken property tax system that currently allows billionaire penthouses to be taxed less than modest homes in the Bronx. Mamdani also wants to shift some of the tax burden from working-class neighborhoods to upscale areas like Central Park South, where luxury condos often receive generous tax breaks while homeowners in the outer boroughs struggle. That's what seems to have triggered 50 Cent, who's now acting as though the city is doomed. But social media wasn't having it. The backlash was swift, with users flooding his comments, calling him out as a sellout and a hypocrite who's forgotten his roots. One person wrote, "The guy who sold crack to his own community suddenly cares about their well-being." Another reminded him, "When you got shot 9 times, your hospital bills were paid with taxpayer money." Someone else added, "Your grandma was on food stamps." And another user joked, "Won't be long before he's in Tel Aviv kissing the wall." That's when DL Hughley stepped in with his own response. He said, "It's wild to see people like 50, who came from the struggle, now complaining about policies meant to help, the very folks they used to be." He also noted how many wealthy celebrities stayed silent when Trump cut food stamp programs and used hunger as a political tool. Yet now they're fear-mongering and warning people that Mayor Mani is the real threat.
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, a 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding. It's saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
Now, Mayor Mamdani himself has decided to respond to 50 Cent and clear the air about his tax plan. After 50 joked that he'd pay the mayor $285 to $750 just to leave New York City, Mamdani laughed it off, saying 50 clearly misunderstood how taxing the top 1% actually works. He explained that the policy isn't about punishing success. It's about creating balance and ensuring that everyone benefits, not just the wealthy few.
What I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time, we'd do more 50.
But 50 still wasn't letting it go. After hearing Mamdani's response, he posted a clip of it on his Instagram and added a caption that made his frustration clear. I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan is going to run the big money out of the city, and if he defunds the police, they are going to purge. All roads lead to Shreveport. Now, let's break this down, because what 50 wrote is a textbook example of a scare tactic. Wealthy people threatening to leave whenever higher taxes are mentioned is one of the oldest tricks in the book. New York has heard this same story since the 1970s, yet the reality is they almost never leave. Why? Because they know this city is where the real money and opportunities are. Take billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, for instance. He spent months attacking Zohran Mamdani during the campaign, not just debating policy, but resorting to low blows. He shared racist posts about Mamdani, painted him as some kind of radical threat to the city, and even vowed to move to Florida if Mamdani ever won. But here's the funny part. The moment Mamdani was declared the winner, Aman tweeted this, Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help New York City, just let me know what I can do. You can leave, like you said you would. That was the general response after Ackman's tweet. So what happened to moving to Florida? Suddenly, Ackman was talking about helping Mayor Mamdani lead New York. Here's the truth. It was never about leaving. It was always about fear tactics ahead of the election. When power starts to shift, even slightly, wealthy individuals often roll out the same playbook, warn that the economy is about to collapse, that jobs will vanish, that they themselves are victims of unfair targeting. But in reality, they're not planning to walk away. Their businesses, investors, and influence are deeply entrenched where they operate. In this case, New York. Studies show that million and multi-million-dollar earners rarely uproot their lives because of tax changes they can't replicate. What they have in a place like Florida or Louisiana, not just because of taxes, but because of the ecosystem they've built, networks, talent pools, infrastructure, brand identity. So instead, what they do is bluff. They loudly suggest departure, in hopes it will scare politicians into backing off. When that strategy meets resistance, they shift gears, suddenly acting cooperative, philanthropic, even concerned for working-class folks. They become team players after the votes are in, and that's exactly the pattern we see with both Amen and 50 Cent in this scenario. The moment their wealth or status is questioned, or a tax policy threatens even a fraction of their earnings, they ramp up fear-mongering, claiming they're on behalf of the average person. Meanwhile, they stay put and continue doing their deals. It's not about leaving, it's about maintaining power and influence. If you look beyond the loud threats, you'll notice the same physical and financial presence remains. The luxury homes, the entertainment ventures, the company headquarters. The city remains the backdrop for their wealth building, And the threats? They deflate quickly once the heat is off. As for 50's claim that Mamdani plans to defund the police, that's another misunderstanding. If 50 actually looked at the policy, he'd see that Mamdani never called for eliminating law enforcement funding. What he proposed was rebalancing the city's budget, investing more in housing, mental health, and community services, instead of continuously pouring massive sums into a police department that still struggles to prevent crime. That's not chaos, that's common sense. Cities that invest in their people, not just in punishment, tend to have less crime, not more. That's a proven fact. So while 50's post feeds into fear, the idea that higher taxes and reallocation will destroy New York, that fear only benefits those at the top. Regular New Yorkers are worried about rent, transit costs, and safety. Meanwhile, 50's concern is a tax increase he can easily afford from his mansion in Houston. And that's exactly the disconnect DL Hughley was pointing out. When someone who built their brand on get rich or die trying suddenly treats poor people trying to survive as the problem. In the end, this isn't just about 50 Cent or one angry billionaire. It's about a pattern. The wealthy trying to convince the rest of us that progress is dangerous. Mayor Mamdani's goal is to make life better for working people. And somehow, that's what has them afraid, because the truth is, those crying RIP New York aren't going anywhere. They'll still be here, making money off the same city they claim is doomed. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with 50 that Mamdani's plan could hurt New York? Or do you think 50 has simply forgotten where he came from now that he's made it? Drop your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.